This should be played at high volume.
Welcome to Outta Pocket. Here's your host, Michael Davis.
It is time to get out of pocket. I'm your host, Michael Davis, here on Tobacco Road Sports Radio, joined by Mr. Austin Summers.
Hello, what's going on?
From SNIS Fantasy Football. Excited to have you guys on. Also, for back-to-back days, we get Carsen and all his Carsenites running wild in our YouTube channel. You guys can be a part of the show. So I just realized through some research that StreamYard doesn't upload Twitter comments onto our YouTube channel, but it is YouTube.
It actually does. It does do it on Twitter. We tested it on Believe in Panthers. Jonathan Stewart was actually tweeting onto the tweet, and it was popping up on the thing. So it actually does do it on X. So if you're on our X thing and you type in there, it should pop up here on the side.
Maybe I need to do more research because it tells me otherwise on my end. Maybe Des has all the Des just has the special touch.
It may be maybe it's the account that I have, because I have like a full-blown StreamYard account, so maybe it only allows it with the one I have. But yeah, you can do it.
Ooh, fancy. Well, if you're watching on Twitter, let's see if I'm right or Des is right. Produced by Desmond Johnson, of course. Des is a big UNC guy, so he must have been happy this week when he learned that RJ Davis is actually coming back to the Tar Heel squad this year, which begs a question. I mean, you look at UNC and some of the pieces they lost. Armando Bacot finally graduated and is moving on to other things.
Oh my gosh.
You have Duke. Duke lost a lot of their guys either to the draft or through the portal, but they have the #1 recruiting class coming in to this year. So I wanted to pose to you guys at the top of our pocket today, who do you think has the better roster now, Duke or UNC, heading into the 2024-25 season? Austin?
I mean, honestly, I hate to say it because I'm a Carolina boy at heart, but I got to say I think Duke's probably got the better class coming in. I mean, don't get me wrong, Carolina's brought RJ Davis back. Bacot finally, I think it's retired at this point after how many years he's been there. But
not going anywhere else. So
yeah, exactly. He's definitely not going to the league, sadly. But I mean, they brought in some guys.
Why is that the thing with Duke fans? I don't understand. Why is that like the sticking point that Armando Bacot is not going to go pro? Like, what is that?
Austin's not a Duke fan. Austin's a Tar Heel fan.
I'm a Tar Heel fan. It's just he just ain't got it. He does not have it for the league. He's not built for it. They're too big, too fast for him.
What is that? I don't understand it. Like, what? He could be a banker for the next 30 years. I don't care. I don't root for Bacot just because he's an NBA player. I root for him while he's wearing a Carolina jersey. Like, y'all realize how many Carolina players did not make the pros, or Duke players, like top 5-star kids that did not make it in the pros. Where's Jahlil Okafor right now?
If he would have been born 10 years older, he would have dominated the league. Let me tell you that.
I bet you Bacot made more money staying in school last year than Okafor made in the NBA last year.
He probably did. The men ideal deals are sweet.
I mean, Bacot 24. Like, RJ Davis is 22, and he's going to be in his 5th year. You guys would have took Jeremy Roach back; it'd have been his 5th year.
Yeah.
Would the joke still been there for Roach?
I mean, it feels like Bacot's been there as long as I've been wearing diapers. Well, I don't wear diapers anymore. Let's just clarify that. Clarify that. That's seems to have changed the entire college landscape, especially, we had the one and done era, and now it looks like it's evolving. But Carsen, what did you make of RJ Davis coming back, and would you rather take the Duke or UNC team for next season?
Well, I'm a Duke fan, so we can make all the jokes we want. RJ Davis is a tremendous player. He was a National Player of the Year candidate last year, and he's really good. And it's not good for ACC teams. Well, it's good for Carolina, but not good for any of the other ACC teams. But I still think that I'm gonna have to go with Duke. Now, we're strictly talking talent on the roster. When it comes to roster construction, when it comes to how those pieces are going to fit together, I don't know. Duke has some. I'm a little worried about our issue with guards right now. We don't really have any primary ball handlers. So I mean, we have Tyrese and we have Caleb Foster. I don't really even love Tyrese that much as a ball handler, and I don't really love Proctor that much just as a prospect. So in that aspect, I'm a little worried for Duke, but I still think just top to bottom, Duke is better. We are stacked in the front court. I don't even remember the guy's name, but obviously we have. Why am I blinking on all of their names right now? Cooper Flag. We have Cooper Flag. We have that real tall 7'1" guy coming in. So it's gonna be we're gonna be a good team. I do expect there going to be some issues at the beginning of the season. Just trying to figure out rotations and stuff like that. Sometimes it's not good to be the most loaded roster.
Yeah, Carson, I wanted to hop in there and remind you of like the 7-footer's name. It's just so hard to pronounce. It's like Kaman Malak or something like that. And I butchered that. I took a while to learn Victor Wembanyama's name last year when he was getting drafted by the Spurs. Des, when you think about this question, I'm assuming you have a different response or reaction.
It's a different response, but I mean, I've been saying it since the tournament, basically. The question wasn't who brought in the better class. The question was who would have the better overall roster. And to me, that's going to be Carolina because of the experience they're going to be bringing back. You're bringing back a first-team All-American and the reigning ACC Player of the Year. Duke doesn't have anything like that currently on the roster. Cooper Flag might be that, but it's very rare for a freshman to win that award. Zion was the last one to do it, if I'm not mistaken. So, and I don't know if Cooper's going to have the same type of freshman season that Zion did. Like Zion was transcendental in his freshman. Like he had Carolina fans rooting for him. Is Cooper Flag going to be that good? I don't know. It's 6 freshmen. It's a very large freshman class. And in today's college basketball, the one thing that we do know is older is better. Older is going to win. The past 4 college basketball national champions were older teams: Kansas, UConn, Baylor. Like you don't see a team where half the roster are freshmen achieve a whole lot just because of the nature of the game. They're still be playing. The COVID year, this is the last year of the COVID year, which is why RJ is able to return. Cooper Flag is 17. He won't turn 18 until like December, I think I heard. So he'll already be in the ACC season as a 17-year-old playing against 24 and 25-year-olds. And I'm supposed to sit here and say the Duke roster is better? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. They may have more talent. They may have more upside, like a higher ceiling in terms of individual talent, but in terms of roster construction, I don't know if you can get much better. Carolina's at a point where all they need is a big man out of the portal. Like they just need a big man that can either challenge Jalen Washington for the starting position or can back him up. But their backcourt is going to be the best in the country. RJ Davis, Elliot Cadeau, Ian Jackson, Seth Trimble. Like that. Find me another team who has that backcourt in college basketball next season between those 4 guys. You got Jalen Winters coming back. He just announced. Jalen Washington's been in the program now for 3 years, and he's a full 2 years away from his ACL surgery. He's probably going to be the starter in Baycott's spot. Harrison Ingram may still come back. Like he's still eligible to come back. He has not signed with an agent. If Harrison Ingram comes back too and fills that spot at the 3, Carolina's going to win the ACC again. Like I wouldn't even be worried about Duke at that point if Ingram comes back or they find a big man in the portal. Jonas Adu, I think that's his name, from Tennessee. That's normally from Carolina. They're talking to him. A couple other guys. Carolina already has a complete roster. Duke's still kind of filling theirs out. So if I had to do it today, not even off of homerism or fans, just off of what I see roster-wise and what I know from what I've seen from these players at the college level, you got to take Carolina. They have too much experience.
I don't know. I think I agreed with you on some points. I disagreed on others. My problem with really both of these teams is they're kind of opposites of each other right now, in that Carolina is really not great down low. They don't really have, nobody who is going to be able to guard Cooper Flag or I already don't really know how to pronounce his name, but Kaman Mulak. Yeah.
The center.
He's kind of a project. He's not played at this level. He's 7'2", kind of like Joel Embiid was when he was at Kansas. He's been
playing grown men overseas. He's been playing.
Yeah, but those are overseas, not like playing, American basketball players.
Look at the best players in the NBA right now. They're all
Overseas.
They've been playing grown men
But he's in
since
the African League.
they were 15 years old.
It's the African League, though. There's a different level of talent there than there is in the European League, where Luka and those guys are coming from. Like that's a completely different tier. He's playing like a AAU type of continental African high school league thing or whatever he's got going on over there. I don't even know how to it, but
to be fair, he's a 5-star prospect and he's projected to be a lottery pick next year.
There's still grown men that he's playing. There's a physicality aspect that even if you're not playing the better players in the world, you're still playing against like physically grown men. So I mean, and when he comes to college, he's going to be playing players that are not as physically are not as gifted, I guess. Not even gifted, but physically not as strong, or
they're not as phically developed in college basketball as they are over there.
But see, that's what I'm saying, though. He's coming into a college basketball world that's not what we're used to. He's playing against 22, 23, 24-year-old guys. And he's going to be playing with Duke on his chest. He's going to get the best out of every single team that they come across. They're not going to bend over just because this dude's 7'2" and he's got this pedigree over in Africa or whatever. They don't care. They're going to come straight at him. He has to reprove why he's a 5-star because he went to Duke, as opposed to allowing that 5-star work for him if he went anywhere else. So those same reasons you just used, I feel like, again, they're freshmen. We've seen this story before. I don't know why we think this story is going to be any different with any iteration of freshman classes that come through. The result always is the same. You can't win a national championship with a team that's half freshman. You just can't, especially today. You just can't do it.
I feel like Duke has used the transfer portal. They went and got Malik Brown.
They did an excellent job. They did way better than I expected them to in the portal.
Brown's all ACC defender. He can score the ball, and that's kind of what we wanted Mark Mitchell to be. So I feel like Malik Brown is an upgrade from Mark Mitchell. They got
there has never been a bigger upgrade.
They got Mason Gillis. Who's a 3-point shooter. I think he was the Big Ten's 6th man of the year. They got pieces to surround Cooper Flagg and the tall center, who I can't pronounce his name. Isaiah Evans is coming in.
He's very good.
And then you got Tyrese Proctor, you got Caleb Foster, and I mean, RJ Davis is a good steal. I will give you that. RJ Davis coming back to UNC is huge, but Duke fans saw same thing a year ago when the reigning ACC Player of the Year, Kyle Filipowski, who won it as a freshman, came back to Duke. And at the end of the day, Duke had a younger team than UNC, but they made it further than UNC in the March Madness tournament.
What does that even mean? What do you mean they went further? What does that get you in the end by saying that? Does that make you feel better? That you played an extra game? I don't understand.
I'm just saying,
what
UNC
does that mean?
UNC's recipe isn't absolute. It's not concrete. Duke still had success with the roster that they compiled, and John Shire does not get enough credit.
But we ended up at the same place at the house.
And you play 2 double-digit seeds to get there, so I really wouldn't brag a whole lot.
But the point is,
you lost to NC State, so let's really come on.
NC State
lost to NC State.
NC State was a great team.
Not in the tournament, not in NCAA. They didn't send us home for the rest of the year. We didn't send NC State to the Final Four. That's not what we did. That's what you guys did. If
you guys saw NC State in that miraculous March Madness run, you guys are probably sitting home too.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Oh, yeah.
They beat us in the ACC tournament, but I think it was because we were more overlooking them. If we saw them again, we matched up way differently than you guys did. We actually had guys that could bang against DJ Burns in the paint.
Baycott's not a good match for DJ Burns.
And honestly, Duke had kind of checked out at the end of last year. Remember, we were talking about this. Carolina was on a trajectory up. We were the 1 seed. Duke was on a trajectory down. You were a 4 seed. And again, played 2 double-digit seeds to get to NC State. So I don't think the outcome would have been the same. State ran into a team in the Final Four similar to what they would have ran into if they played. Carolina was a 1 seed. Nah, I'm not buying that brand.
Well, Duke be a 1 seed on their way there. And the thing about March Madness is it's one and done. You win or you go home. You win and you advance. That's not the scene in the NBA playoffs. We get best of 7 series all the way throughout. We saw the Philadelphia 76ers lose to the New York Knicks and the Sixers are going home. We've seen the Milwaukee Bucks exit again in the first round back-to-back years. And so I'm just looking at all these teams in play here, whether it's like, do these losses mean more against the Milwaukee Bucks and the Philadelphia 76ers that they couldn't take their talent and advance in a best-of-7 series? Or does it say more about new teams that are rising, like the Knicks and the Pacers, that might be forced to be reckoned with in the East moving forward? Austin, what's your take on this?
Yeah, so I think looking at the two teams differently, when the Milwaukee Bucks suffered injuries throughout all this, they were not healthy this entire playoff series. The Pacers looked dysfunctional, honestly. They beat a much worse injured Bucks team, but the Pacers were dysfunctional. Yes, they'll run you off the floor, but if you take that away from them, they don't have a lot. They don't have any depth, and they just want to run you off the floor. What I think it says more to me is the Knicks 76ers series, and that's with Joel Embiid he's not that guy. And I'm a big Embiid fan. I think he is a phenomenal player, but we've seen it for 5-6 years now. He cannot make it past the second round. Heck, couldn't even make it to the second round this year. And it shows a lot of issues. I think it shows the Knicks are a nasty team. Jalen Brunson is definitely the guy in New York. I think if they can pair him, I don't like the rumors of the Devin Booker pairing. I'm not a fan of that. But I think if they could get like a KD or something with him, I think the Knicks could honestly win the finals. I think they'll make the Eastern Conference Finals this year. I don't think they're beating the Celtics. I want to know first, though, is why the 76ers are paying Tobias Harris $38 million to run around and do sprints for 29 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
He shot 2 shots last night, didn't make a single one of them, no points. I think he averaged like 10 points a series. What is he doing? What are they paying him for? He needs to go. They need to get Maxey and Embiid some help. I don't know.
Yeah, and they probably do need to get some help. And reminder that the Philadelphia 76ers chose Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler, and Jimmy Buckets will not let him forget that, especially after Butler's had 2 trips to the finals in a span of
all-time
4 years.
That was an all-time fumble.
Oh yeah, Carsen, what are your lookouts when you look at the Eastern Conference? Because it almost, and I know Des used this term earlier this week talking about the Big Three era, but it almost looks like it's changing of the guard just in the Eastern Conference alone, with the Knicks and the Pacers putting a team together and advancing, while the superstar teams of Milwaukee and Philadelphia are sitting at home and starting their offseason early.
Yeah, I don't really think it says too much about the losing sides. I think it says much more about the Pacers and the Knicks. The Pacers, they got a lucky draw with a really injured Bucks team.
Exactly.
That being said, they can just run a lot of teams off the floor, which is a really valuable. And then they also have great half court, which is the most valuable when it comes to the playoffs, to have a great half-court offense. Halliburton has been disappointing in the second half of the season. I think something happened maybe with his ankles or something. I don't know. He hasn't been the same player. But if we remember, at the beginning of the season, he was an MVP candidate. He was the best pull-up shooter in the league, while also dictating the league's #1 offense and being and leading the league in assists. Like, Halliburton is really, really good, and he's really well equipped for the playoffs, in my opinion. But they're not there yet. They're a couple pieces away. Siakam was an incredible addition. He's been the best player in the series so far. So that's my takeaways for the Pacers Bucks series. For the Knicks and the 76ers series, I don't think it really says anything about Joel Embiid. If anything, I think it says Joel Embiid can be here. He didn't win, but he had an incredible series. I mean, he played really well. This last game, he had 39 points. Free throw numbers have been something that I've been a little confused on. Normally in the playoffs, we don't get free throw numbers like we've been seeing this year, but we're getting a lot. Normally it cools down when it comes to the playoffs, but either way, he's getting there and he's making his shots. He's been playing really well, and he has not been 100%. We saw he was dealing with the Bell's palsy, which one of the craziest things that I've seen somebody play through. He's been playing with I don't know if it's his knee or his ankle. I don't even know what the injury is, but he's been playing through that. So he's been playing incredible, showing everybody why he and Jokic are the top two best players in the world candidates, and everybody knows it's Jokic. It's not Embiid, but Embiid is 2 when he's healthy. So I think it says a lot more about the Knicks and their roster construction and their resiliency, even without Julius Randle. And even with Brunson playing a couple bad games at the beginning of the series, they still stole those wins because they just never stop. They are always on go mode, like from tip to tip, they're jumping for loose balls. Josh Hart is one of the best positional rebounders I've ever seen. Like, they just have such a great group that wants to win so bad. And there's really not much more valuable in the playoffs than that.
And Hart made a huge 3 at last night's game. If you didn't watch that game, like, what were you doing with your evening? Like, it was one of the best playoff games I've seen yet this year. Des, you've been on record of saying this week how impressed you are with the way the Knicks have constructed that team.
Yeah, and I hadn't really watched a full game of theirs. I watched the second half last night, and I think I knew in the back of my head, but I didn't really realize it. This is Villanova Pro. This is literally what we're watching in New York between Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo, and Jalen Brunson. This Knicks team has Jay Wright's fingerprints all over it. They feel like a Villanova national championship team in terms of how they play. It's just like they're all one unit, and they're so banged up, but they're playing so well. I'm looking forward to watching the Knicks and the Pacers. Like, I mean, I'm 46. I'm old school. I remember Reggie Miller scoring 8 points in 3 seconds or whatever nonsense it was, and just sitting there with my mouth open, like, watching it. Those Pacers Knicks battles in the 90s, like when Jordan retired the first time, and then after he retired again, especially the first time, like 94, 95, those were just battles. Like, they were just battles. I'm not saying this is going to be the same, but it's shaping up to be an interesting matchup that I wasn't anticipating until now. That I'll probably watch that series. So I'll watch the whole thing. Jalen Brunson has been so good for the Knicks.
He's incredible.
He's the first player since Michael Jordan to average 35 points per game in 3 road games or something like that, or 4 playoff games in a row. Like, when you start getting mentioned with Michael Jordan, like, you're doing something that no one else has really done. And Brunson, we're at a point now, they're only in the second round with Brunson, but we're starting to I'm already hearing on First Take them debating, is Jalen Brunson the best Knick in the past 50 years or whatever? Like, beyond Patrick Ewing, or, I mean, really,
Carmelo?
That's
even
insane.
Carmelo never got the Knicks past the second round, if I'm not mistaken, and not got him past the first while he was a Knick. So, I mean, yeah, like, if they get past the Pacers and get to the Eastern Conference Finals and they end up playing and beating the Celtics and they're in the finals, the Knicks, like, if the Knicks make the finals, the Knicks, the Lakers, the Celtics are the teams that, if they make the finals, it's a different finals. Like, it's just a different vibe to it altogether. And there's nobody on this panel, I don't think, that was alive the last time that the Knicks made the finals. Was anybody alive in 1999?
Yeah, I was
by a year.
I was a year. I was 1 year old.
That was the last time they made a
Three
finals.
off.
The last time they made a finals was 99, and that was the shortened 50-game season because of the lockout.
Yeah.
They made it 94 when Jordan retired, and they put the Bulls out. And they lost to the Rockets, and that was the whole O.J. Simpson thing and everything else. But it's been a minute since they've been there. I'm rooting for the Knicks to do this going forward since my Lakers are out. And just shout out to what they're doing. I wish more teams would do this, where they would get teams like kids from championship college teams and try to compile some of those guys together. I know the Bobcats tried to do it with Sean May and Raymond Felton back in 2005, but Sean May couldn't keep the weight off, and there you go. Yeah. But more teams should try to do stuff like this. Like, I would go pull guys from that Kansas team a couple years ago, or from Villanova or Connecticut the past 2 years, and keep that continuity going.
And there's always that age-old question of, like, would the best college team beat the worst pro team in their sport?
Never.
Not even
never.
close.
Never.
We might need a whole other segment to debate that, because I'm actually disagreeing.
No,
but
never.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same combo we just had about age in college basketball. Like, experience is going to win out over talent every time. That's why the Fab Five never won a ring.
Not even. I mean, how many players from UConn are going to go on to be great NBA players?
Yeah.
How many?
Castle was the only 5-star that they had in their starting lineup.
Like,
and he was the only freshman, and he was the 4th scoring option. So I mean,
it's just a completely different league that you're asking these kids to do. They're just playing talent that is so overwhelmingly better than them. Never the greatest college team in college history would not be the worst NBA team in NBA history.
that would be our Charlotte Bobcats from like what year was it? 04, 05? They won like 7 games.
You could take a handful.
I don't know. What about those 76ers with Michael Carter?
They were threatening that record.
bad.
I think. I don't think they played 82 games that year. I think that's why they don't have the record. I think the Bobcats have the record for worst win percentage, but most losses in the season. I think it's that 76ers team that got them beat, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we could go back and forth on this debate. We only have a couple more minutes left here on Out Pocket for your 30-minute lunch break. So I wanted to ask you guys, Austin's a Clippers guy, Carsen's a Cavaliers guy. I won't make you guys pick your team if you don't want to. I'll give you the opposite game. But Austin, you have the Cavaliers and Magic. If you want to comment on the Clippers real quick, either way, I'm leaving it up to you.
If I comment on the Clippers, we will be here all day. I have so much to say about them. I am flustered, especially after the other night. But for the Cavs Magic series, man, I really like this Magic team. They're so young, they're so talented. If they could just shoot the ball a little better, if they could just put the ball in the rim, their defense is phenomenal. But I think I'm going to have to take the Cavs in this series. They've looked more put together and just with a little bit more experience than the Magic have. My biggest thing is if the Cavs somehow don't win this, I think Donovan Mitchell leaves. So I think I think they all know that, and I think they're in a must-win situation for the franchise. So I think they're going to win it.
Wow, Carsen, 30 seconds or less. I'll give the same option to you. If you want to comment on the Cavs Magic, you can. But your game is the Clippers and Mavericks.
I'll comment on the Clippers Magic. Same reason. I could talk about the Cavs all day. Basically, the Clippers are cooked. They're going to lose. They have no chance. There's just a different ceiling with the Mavericks. You've got 2 offensive superstars who can carry the load. And even when Luka is out, Kyrie can carry the load. Kyrie's been the best player in the series, in fact. So yeah, it's going to be the Mavericks. They're a great team. They've got great defense. Derek Lively, shout out, has been incredible. So yeah, that's it. Sorry, Austin.
That's okay. I still want to know why Vitsa Zubac is the best player on the floor for the Clippers. I've yet to figure that out.
Yeah,
Blow it
seriously.
Yeah, James Harden was doing pretty good for me, and then he just didn't. Des, T-Wolves, and Nuggets open up this weekend, game 1. That's going to be a series.
So good,
I'm looking forward to it.
Go
I didn't think
Wolves.
I was going to be looking forward to these playoffs once the Lakers were out, but there's some intriguing matchups here.
So incredible.
I
So
like
good.
the Timberwolves. Like I feel like they remind me of like the 89 Bulls, like and Denver's the Nuggets. I mean, the Nuggets are the Pistons, like where Ant Edwards is Michael Jordan at age 26 or whatever. And I said this on one of these shows here where it feels like he's 87 Jordan, where he's the year before 88 Jordan, because 88 Jordan was like peak Jordan, where he won like everything except for a ring. He won league MVP, he won dunk championship, he won all-star MVP, he was defensive player of the year, first team, like he won everything. And all the players were like, Jordan is the best player in the league. Ant Edwards is right there. And I feel like they're going to battle the Nuggets the next couple of years. I'm going to pick Minnesota's got home court. I'm going to pick Denver to steal it game 1 because Minnesota's still fairly young, and this is their first time in this situation, and Denver's the defending NBA champs. I expect Denver to win game 1, but this is going to be a 7-game series.
I think the Nuggets have home court in that, actually. I think the Timberwolves are the 3 seed.
Timberwolves were the 1 seed.
No, the Thunder are the 1 seed.
Yeah.
Oh, they're not the 2? Or Denver's the 2? Yeah. That's right. They played
Denver.
Okay. I'll flip that then. Minnesota's going to steal it from Denver.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah, I think Minnesota will win game 1.
Wow.
They just have so many big bodies to throw at Jokic with Cat and Gobert.
And a lot of teams don't have that.
Yeah.
I mean, they got Rudy Gobert that can put on him, most of the
Doesn't
game.
matter.
Defensive player of the year.
Yeah, I mean,
Doesn't matter.
might not matter, but it's going to make Jokic work a little bit harder than he. That's all you can really ask for.
It'll wear him down over the 7-game series that I think it'll go to.
I think
His
it's
legs
going
will
to
get tired.
Yep.
Wow. So
I'd love a Timberwolves Knicks NBA Finals.
That would be great.
Sick.
that'd be different. That'd be
Actually,
different than what we've
Timberwolves might destroy the Knicks if that did
They
happen.
would.
Maybe, yeah.
Just their defense. But no, Jokic can't be stopped. If Anthony Davis couldn't do it, Gobert can't do it either.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good point. Yeah.
It'll be interesting to watch. Carsen's already dubbed Jokic as one of the best offensive players in NBA history, and then
the
Rudy
best now.
Gobert.
He is.
He's
Rudy Gobert.
He's not the best offensive player in NBA history, but I will give him. He is the best player in the league today. I'll give him that. But
then up against Rudy Gobert, one of the best defensive players we've seen the last few years. I mean, he shut an entire league down for 3 months? We didn't have any NBA games. We'll talk more NBA playoffs. We'll probably have some football talk as well next week on Out of Pocket. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. We'll be back Monday, 12:30, 1 o'clock for more coverage. All our Out of Pocket episodes are available on demand through the Tobacco Road Sports Radio YouTube channel. Go catch it all. Go follow my guy, Austin Summers, and Sniz Fantasy Football. They're doing incredible work. Go follow Carsen's handle right there, as well as Desmond Johnson. Follow Out Pocket at outpocket_TRSR on Instagram. And we will see you guys next week. Have a great weekend.